If you have or are thinking about the Canon 5D Mark IV and you'd like to know more about how to leverage the Wi-Fi to connect to a smartphone or a laptop, this video is for you. Canon introduced Wi-Fi capabilities with the 5D Mark IV. If you haven't used it, you gotta think about it. It's pretty handy in my opinion. It enables the photographer to connect to smartphones like this right here, or laptops, iPads, things like that. I have a MacBook Air right here. Now, if you have another creative person with you, it allows them to see what you're shooting while you're shooting, or perhaps the client wants to take a look as well. There are a couple of ways to make this happen, and let's go ahead and just jump right in. Regardless of connecting to a laptop or a phone, the first thing we need to do is set up our camera. So we're looking at the back of the Canon 5D Mark IV right now, and the first thing we want to do is turn it on and then hit your menu button up here. And when the menu comes up, we want to get into the setup, which is the wrench icon right here, and then select the sub menu, which is number 4 right there. And you'll see down here a selection for communication settings. We want to select that. And the next thing we want to do is select the built-in wireless settings. Now right here you'll see it's disabled, and I went ahead and reset everything on this camera so we could step through this together. The only other option that is selectable is nickname. You don't need to select that right out of the gate because when you enable your Wi-Fi, it is going to ask us for a nickname. Let's go ahead and enable our Wi-Fi. I'm going to select that and then select enable. It's going to ask if we want to allow NFC connections, which is the near field communications. Go ahead and leave that enabled and select OK. And right here it's basically saying you need to register a nickname to identify this camera. Go ahead and select OK. And you'll notice in the upper left hand corner the default is EOS 5D4. I'm going to go ahead and leave this, and you can append anything you want to this. You're fine to leave this as the default. The only challenge is if you are with some other photographers and they're all using EOS 5D4, it'll make it more difficult to identify this camera when you go to select it on your laptop. So I know I'm just by myself. This is for testing purposes. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And it's basically saying the screen's going to close now, which is fine. Click OK. And right here, our Wi-Fi is now enabled, and you'll notice the nickname is EOS 5D Mark IV. So in this case, what we want to do is select the Wi-Fi function, and these are the options for our Wi-Fi. We'll go ahead and step through them real quick. To begin with, you can connect to a smartphone. You can leverage the EOS utility, which we're going to do for our MacBook Air. You can also print to a Wi-Fi enabled printer. And you can also upload your images to an FTP server and also leverage a web service. Again, for this demonstration, what we really want to focus on are these first two. It's going to be to a phone, and we're going to leverage the utility for our laptop. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and focus first on the laptop. I'm going to go ahead and touch this. And there are two options to connect. If you already know that you have a Wi-Fi network set up, perhaps at your studio, at your house, or wherever you are, you can go ahead and select an existing network. For the sake of simplicity, if you want to connect your laptop directly to this camera, you're going to use Easy Connection. So ensure that that's connected. That's what we're going to do for our demonstration here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And right here, it's telling us this is your SSID. This is what you're going to see when we open up the laptop and we look at our wireless connection points. We should see EOS 5D4-273_Canon 0A. When we find that and we go to select that, we're going to need our encryption key, which is right down here at the bottom. And you'll notice up here in the top it says waiting to connect. So with this set up, we're going to go ahead and turn to our laptop, which is the MacBook Air, and we're going to connect to this camera. We're looking at my MacBook Air, and although I've already installed the utility, I'm going to show you where to go to find it. So let's go ahead and open up a browser. In this case, I'm going to open up Chrome and go to Google. And I want to show you something real quick. Most people would type in Canon EOS utility, as I did, and the first link takes us to the Canon site, and it's specific to the EOS utility. But as of this recording, I want to show you just a a minor issue here. So this page talks all about the EOS utility, and it's asking you to select your model on the left-hand side. Unfortunately, you'll notice one problem. There is no option for the 5D Mark IV. Now, the 5D Mark IV does exist, but again, as of this date, there's no option for it. So how do we find it? Go back to Google and just append your search with 5D Mark IV. And when you do this, you'll have a couple links here that'll take you specifically to Canon's site and information about the 5D Mark IV. Now, if you see the support link, like I do right here, just go ahead and click on that because it'll take us directly to where we need to go to get the utility. So, right here, the landing page says drivers and downloads. Ultimately, this is where you want to be. Go ahead and select this option right here. And my operating system is automatically detected. So if you're running Windows, you'll see your operating system right here as well. And it will load the appropriate software and drivers for your operating system, which is kind of nice. In this case, scroll down just a little bit and you'll see the EOS utility 3.5.10. Keeping in mind that this is the newest utility as of this recording. A year from now or two years from now, I suspect this is going to be a different number and a newer release. At this point, go ahead and select Run and download and install this software just as you would any other software on your system. So again, I've already have it, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this window. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and connect to the camera. So on Macs, you'll notice right up here you have the Wi-Fi enabled icon, and my current network is ACE1. And what I'm looking for is our 5D Mark IV, which is right here. I'm going to go ahead and select this. And it's asking for the password. This is the encryption key that was given to us on the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and key that in right now. And this is going to connect us to our camera. And we're going to take a look at the back of the camera real quick and see what it tells us. On the back of the camera, a message is displayed that says Start Pairing Devices. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK at this point. And right now it's saying go ahead and start the EOS utility on the computer. So let's go back to the computer and fire up the EOS utility. Our EOS utility is located right here. I'm going to go ahead and start it. And it's basically giving us the option, let's pair over Wi-Fi. Go ahead and click this button right here. And you'll see our camera show up right here. This is the MAC address of the camera and the IP that's been assigned. And let's go ahead and click Connect. Now it wants us to go back and take a look at the back of the camera. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Back of the camera shows that it's my PC or my MacBook Air is found. And the option is connect to the PC. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And at this point, we are connected and the EOS utility on the MacBook Air will now launch. So what I'm going to focus on is remote shooting. Not so much anything else here. Let's just focus on remote shooting. So go ahead and select this option here. And you will see over to the right-hand side, this brings up all the information about the camera. And it does look like my battery is running low, so I may need to take a break and charge that up, which I can do. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and just cover a couple of basic things here. What we want to talk about is this little option right here, this little link or icon you can see here. Go ahead and select that and click on it. And what this is saying is, what do you want to do with the images that are shot on the camera? Do you want to have these images saved to the computer only, so bring them off the camera and straight to the computer? The bottom one here is, do you want to store them only on the camera, or do you want to do the computer in the camera? And in this case, keeping in mind, we want that image to come back to the MacBook Air, so select this option right here. And then the other option you want to select is down here where it's saying in RAW plus JPEG mode, only transfer JPEGs to the computer. You can transfer the RAWs back to the computer, but it does take a bit longer. So if you do RAW plus JPEG on your camera, and I'll show you my personal preference on this, is to do a very small JPEG. Because again, we're not looking for super high quality here. It's really to look at composition and just the overall image itself. So select this option right here, click OK. And at this point, what you want to do as well, you can change up where the JPEG is stored, and here I just have it in pictures. Change it if you like, it's not a big deal. And the other thing you want to do is go into other functions down here at the bottom and select quick preview. And you'll have your window open up right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to put this to the test. We're going to take a few images and see them appear here, see how long they take, and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right in. On the right side, I have my Canon 5D Mark IV, and on the left side is the MacBook Air. In front of the Mark IV, I have a chair with a toy horse in it. It's really just for demonstration purposes, and I am set up to shoot in RAW plus small JPEG. And let's go ahead and test this out and see just how well this works. You can see that right there. I'm going to go ahead and shoot again. And let me rotate the camera just a little bit so we can see it's a little different. Again, I'll pull it back. Keep in mind that this works at a very good distance. I mean, roughly 20, 30, 40 feet is what I've tested when I've been outside and in a relatively large room indoors. So I tend to find that this works out pretty well. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at what's involved with connecting to a smartphone. What we're going to do is let's go ahead and step back into the menu. And if you're not already there, you'll want to go back into Setup and then Sub-Tab 4. And go ahead and click back on Communication Settings. Built-in wireless settings, and right here you'll see that we are still enabled based on the connection to the MacBook Air. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Wi-Fi functions, and what I want to do is disconnect, and it's confirmation. I say OK, and right now we're back to the main menu for the Wi-Fi connections, and what we want to do is rotate over and connect to smartphone. So go ahead and tap that. And it's asking you if you want to set up, because you have multiple banks, if you will. And in this case, this is set 1. I believe they have 2 and 3 in there. We can actually take a look at that. And we're going to go ahead and just leverage set 1. Pick whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead, go back in here. We're set for set 1. And I'm going to go ahead and say connect. And it's saying, do you want to go ahead and connect to device? We say OK. And right now what we want to do is go to our smartphone. We're looking at an Android phone, and the same will work if you have an iPhone. Just go to iTunes, go to the App Store. In this case, I'm going to go to the Play Store, which is right here. And on Android devices, again, I do not have an iPhone readily available, but in the Play Store, you'll search for Canon Camera Wi-Fi Connect or Canon Connect. You'll see an application and the icon that looks like what's here at the top. Now you can see I already have it installed. If you don't have it installed though, you'll go into here and install it. Since it's already on here, I'm going to go ahead and hit open. And at this point, you'll see at the bottom where it says camera not connected, SSID is ACE1. Keep it in mind that ACE1 is my current Wi-Fi connection. I'm going to go ahead and just pull down my Wi-Fi options, which we have right here, and I am going to select from my available Wi-Fi spots, and you'll see right here the EOS 5D4. Let's go ahead and connect to that. Now, keeping in mind that this camera is not connected to the internet, so this will connect to the camera but lose its internet connection, which is what we have right here at the bottom. And you'll see how our options are now highlighted. So if we want to view images that are on the camera, we can do so by selecting images on camera. Now these are the images that I currently have on the card from my night shots with the 5D Mark IV. We're going to go ahead and take a couple of shots, and you're going to see them appear here. So let's go ahead and do that now. Keep in mind that this is different than the MacBook Air in the fact that it does not copy a small JPEG file over. Instead, you're actually looking at what's on the camera via Wi-Fi from your smartphone. But you can see the image appear right here. I'll go ahead and tap on it. You can see a larger view of it. You can also flip this landscape, and you can pinch to zoom in and take a closer look if you like. So this is a nice little feature. You can take some more photos here, and you'll see that they appear quick. Keeping in mind that It is really just a thumbnail of the image itself. Something else you can do with the smartphone app, which is kind of interesting, is we're going to come up and click on the home button. And we can actually get into the remote live view. So when we click on this, right now you see nothing, but when you click on the live view icon, which is right there, you'll see that it actually opens up the camera for our view on the phone itself. Now this is good for any kind of self-composition. There's some buttons down here, and there's a lot of other things you can do with this. You can adjust focus on here. You can adjust focal points. There's a lot of different things you can do. But rather than get into that, it's just to know that you can take a remote shot with your phone. So kind of interesting and something else to look at. Wi-Fi capabilities will drain the battery on this camera. I didn't find the drain to be significant, but it is something to note. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. It's called The Real World. You never know what you might get. More often than not, I post videos about photography and technology, but I also post them about automobile maintenance and home ownership. So until the next video, take care of yourself and be safe.